I love Zenless Zone Zero, but recently it's been feeling a little less fun. And I did a very unstructured stream the other day, and I want to apologize. Not for anything that I said, but for the unstructured way that I said it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distill my points in a few minutes, and then you can make the call as to whether or not you agree with me or not. Please do remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, for the algorithm. Anyway, first things first then, let's start talking about why Endgame feels less fun. So Endgame currently feels less fun because it's harder and harder to play the way that you want to play. And part of the cause of this is HP inflation. So this graph here is showing the HP from where it was and when Deadly Assault started back in 1.4 all the way up to now. And you can see it started under 200 million, like 190 million-ish HP, and it's now over 330 million HP. So it's a pretty big increase. And pushing the HP up like this is making the game a little harder each time it happens. And it's a little bit difficult sometimes to call it out when this is happening. And we have been saying for a little while that, it's something that we need to keep an eye on. And I think now it's reached a tipping point where it's like, okay, this is definitely a pretty big problem now. It's not just HP that's the problem, though. It's also the boss design. And I'll explain. So the bosses are being designed in a way where they work with very specific characters or very specific teams. And what this is doing is it's limiting player creativity, flexibility, and expression by meaning that you have to run certain teams into certain bosses. Now, stay with me here, because right now, at 330 million total HP, I think the Defiler specifically has like 99 million HP, and you can still brute force the Defiler with anomaly teams. However, the boss does not exist in isolation without the context of this history. And the history here is telling us that the HP is going to go up on that boss, and it's going to go up on Fiend, and it's going to go up on Priest, and it's going to go up on Dead End Butcher. And that means that as that boss HP goes higher, it gets harder and harder for players to express creativity and to play the game the way that they want to play it. And it forces us to use the specific teams that the game wants us to use against these bosses, which for me feels less fun. It also becomes a much steeper learning curve for people coming in, and it's going to become harder for players to pull all of the characters they need for these teams, potentially. Especially if the HP continues to go up, then the idea of normalizing 2 or 3 limited S ranks per team will be something that happens. And that's where I am about the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you here what I'm going to send on the feedback survey, and I'm going to do it right after I've recorded this. You can open the game, you can go in, you can leave feedback at any time, and I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna send this, and I'm gonna leave it pinned down below, and you can do what you want. But I'm gonna read it out. HP inflation has been aggressive recently. It's happening too fast. There is a necessity for it in gacha games, but it needs to slow down in ZZZ because it is limiting creativity and team building and making the endgame feel less fun. I understand that the current rate of HP inflation is to turn low spenders into dolphins and dolphins into whales. However, we will likely lose many players that can't or don't want to invest any more real money from the speed of HP increase. If the amount of HP inflation is lessened, more players are more likely to stay, resulting in longer-term players and overall higher returns. I feel like talking about money might just get through. I want to echo what I said at the start. I love this game. I want it to get better. I want to carry on playing it. And portions of the player base might very well think this is just skill issue. Except the numbers are going up, the direction is clear, and we could all end up playing the same teams against whatever bosses they design for those teams. And that just sounds way less fun. ZZZ is a skill-based game that rewarded player expression and skill. And I feel like that could go away. ZZZ deserves better. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. If you don't have anything to add, then just drop your favorite emoji down below for engagement. That's what I've got to say. Normal content will resume next week. There'll probably be an account review where I took someone from 5 to 9 stars on this DA. Anyway. Bye.